Hello friends, I'm back with my June Plan With Me video, and I cannot believe that we are already halfway through 2019. That is just so crazy to me. And since summer is in full force here, I wanted to do something super refreshing and colorful for my theme, and I thought fruits would be just so perfect for this month. Am I the only one who only enjoys eating fruit a lot more during the warmer seasons? Anyways, this theme has definitely become my absolute favorite so far, and I really hope you all enjoy planning with me. So for this month, I decided on 5 different bright colors that I would stick with. That way I wouldn't end up using like a billion different markers. I think that helps everything look more cohesive since this theme is extra bright and colorful. So I chose red, orange, yellow, pink, and a lime green color, and these are all Crayola super tips. For the cover page, I started off by using all 5 of my colors to make these rectangular boxes that are 18 by 4 with 1 box space in between. And this is going to act as like a border background for my June lettering. Then to fill up the rest of the page, I'm doodling in some fruits, and I chose watermelon, orange, lime, lemon, and strawberry, but you can choose any fruits that you love, like I've seen kiwis or peaches before, anything that goes with your colors. And as you can see, I changed up the shapes of some of the fruits just to make it look more interesting. Like for my watermelons, I switched between doodling the normal half circle shapes and a triangular slice shape. And I also used the normal shape for my lemons and limes, as well as a little wedge slice shape. For the fruit doodles around the rectangle boxes, I only colored them in up to the border of the rectangles because I want to create kind of like a shadow effect on top, which you'll see what I mean in a little bit. Before I outline the doodles, I'm going to let the marker dry a little, so I'm moving onto the June lettering over the rectangles. I'm using my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen and writing out June in this large bubbly font, making each letter a different size just to make it look a little more interesting. And here you can see what I meant by creating the fruit shadows. I'm doodling in random fruits with the same Tombow brush pen, making sure to stop the shadow at the border so it connects with the normal fruit pattern. I thought this looked really cool, and I think it helps keep this page from looking too over the top colorful. Now I'm outlining all of the doodles with my Micron 01 pen, making sure to add in some seeds and little lines on the lemon and lime wedges. And as a final touch, I used my POSCA white marker to create these highlights on June and on the fruits to give them a really nice and juicy look. Next, I wanted to include a cute quote page, so I'm using the same bubble lettering to write hello at the top. And I alternated between all of the Crayola markers to write sweet summer in these thicker block-like letters. And again, I doodled in all of my fruits and little leaves around the rest of the page. And after outlining the doodles with the Micron pen, I went over the sweet summer part and made like a off-center outline of these letters, and I think that gives it a really nice playful look. I'm still working on my lettering style, so some of these outlines look better than others. Like these M's, they just turned out so messed up and there was nothing I could do to fix them. And finally, I'm using the POSCA marker again to create the highlight lines in hello and inside all of the fruits. Moving onto the calendar page, I'm using the Crayola markers again for June to create that blocky outline style again. And I just used the Tombow Fudenosuke pen to write out 2019 and to do, just so it wouldn't look too overly colorful. At the tops of the calendar, I'm doodling in my fruits, where I'm going to write the first letter of the days of the week on top. I thought I would try and keep this page more simple looking, so these are the only fruit doodles I'm using. I went in with my white marker and outlined the letters to make them pop over the colors, and I went back over it again with my Micron pen to help get in the little details in case the white smudged anything. Using the same Micron pen, I created the calendar boxes that are 6 by 6, and I wrote out the dates at the bottom of each box with the Tombow Fudenosuke pen. In the end, I thought this spread needed just a little bit more color, so I doodled in my leaf clusters around the empty space, and I used the same green to line my to-do list. So I lost the footage of me setting up my mood tracker, and I don't even know how that happened, but I am so bummed about it. I hope you can all forgive me, but this page is really easy and I'm going to go through and explain everything that I did. So first I took my Crayola markers and I wrote out mood in the block lettering and outlined them with the Micron pen, which I also used to write out tracker right next to it. And I decided to use my fruits as my moods. So a strawberry means that I'm feeling amazing, a lemon means that I'm happy, a watermelon means that I'm feeling neutral, an orange means that I'm not feeling too great, and a lime will mean that I'm just feeling absolutely awful that day. So I also doodled in some tiny leaves around the bottom here to help fill in the empty space. Then up at the top, I wrote out the dates of this month in this kind of zigzaggy pattern just to break up the doodles later on so they're not super uniform. And just as an example, I drew in a strawberry for June 1st, which means I'm super happy that day. Well, hopefully I will be. So that's it for my mood tracker this month, and let's move on to the habit tracker. Again, I'm using the same block lettering style for all of my headers, which I really like since it makes all of my spreads look super cohesive, whereas for some of my previous months, I was still experimenting with a bunch of different styles, so hopefully I can keep this cohesiveness up in my future spreads. I went and doodled in all of my fruits at the top, making sure to not go over that border. And for this month, since it's super doodly, I went back to this simple habit tracker layout, which was really fast to do. I just outlined the shape of this month, and each box represents a day. To give it a pop of color, I used my Crayola markers and made a little line border around each habit. So I surprisingly already filled up my brain dump page that I made for May, so I decided to throw in another one in for this month. It really helps me plan out what kind of spreads and themes that I want to do for the future months. And around the text, I drew in some small leaves and tiny circles and dots just for a little extra cute detail. And I used the lime green color to outline a border around the page just so it didn't end up looking super empty. And this next page I am super excited about. This is the first real fun random spread that I'm trying out, and I decided to write a list of my summer favorites, whether it be music or food or activities. I just think it would be nice to look back on and be reminded of all the fun things that I experienced this summer. So I just googled lemonade doodle and a bunch of these similar drawings came up, which was really helpful to be able to look at instead of trying to draw this like on the spot. So I'm just drawing some lemonade inside this mason jar with a little lemon slice at the top and a wedge in the bottom corner. And I thought they looked a little flat, so I used my POSCA white marker to add some subtle highlights, and I think that really helped make it pop out more. So onto my first weekly spread. To fit in the first 2 days of June, you know I just had to go with my trusty box layout. The style is really similar to the calendar. I used my fruit doodles to show the dates, and I wrote out the days of the week next to them. These boxes are 8 by 10 with one box spaced in between, and that left a little space at the bottom for a notes section, which I do end up changing how it looks in a little bit. And of course, I added in a drop shadow with the Tombow Fudenosuke pen. For the second week, I threw in some fruit borders at the top and bottom of the page, and using the Tombow pen, I wrote out the first letter to the days of the week and made a black circle next to each one where I used my POSCA white pen to write the number for the day. Then off to the side, I made a long notes section and used the pink marker to separate each line. And here you can see I went back and fixed the first week's notes lettering part. I went with the big bubbly style with little highlights, and I think this looks a lot better than what I had before. Thank goodness I only had to make 4 weekly spreads instead of 5 because my hand was seriously cramping after all of this doodling. For my last 2 weeks, I sort of combined them by creating a fruit border in the center. This saved so much time since I didn't have to come up with 2 separate spread styles, and it still turned out looking really cute. For this border, I think I left about 5 to 6 boxes out from the seam in the middle, and after I doodled in all of the fruits, I used the same markers to draw a line to separate each day down the pages. And instead of trying to use calligraphy, I just went with my Micron pen for a simple cursive style to write out the days of the week with a note section at the bottom. And finishing off this month, I'm adding in the doodle outlines and highlights. And that wraps up my June Plan With Me video. I am so in love with how this month turned out, and I'm glad I made myself branch out a little by adding in that favorite section. If you decide to recreate these spreads, please tag me on Instagram at AFZXX3. I am super excited to see what fruits and colors you guys end up choosing, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!